Hello, Lama from BarcodeV here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a multiplayer-proof money system. You can currently see on the right side that's the client, and you can add money, you can remove money on the client if I spam through. You can't remove any more money. All this check logic is ran on the server, so no client can cheat himself money or something like that. As always, you can get the project files on our Patreon, but let's get right into it. The first thing we will have to do, as always, is to create a new folder in our systems folder, which we will call money system. And inside, we are first going to create a new level. For demo purposes, I'm going to use the basic one. Hit Control S and go into the money system, and I'm going to call it level underscore money system. You don't have to do that if you already have a level for your gameplay, but I'm going to do it for the purpose of this tutorial. The next thing we will have to create is a game mode, but we're not going to use the game mode base. We're going to use the game mode because it has more multiplayer functionality. It doesn't really matter as well, but I like to do that, and I will call it money system. And now we can create a player controller, which we will call PC underscore money system. This can be, if you already have a pawn, you can also use the player controller you already have. And lastly, we will need a player state. This is where all the money attributes, the variables are going to be saved, because if you need to have player variables, you're always going to save it in the player state. For example, death, their score, their money, their HP or whatever, that's in the player state. And I'm going to call it PS underscore money system for this tutorial. But as said, you can always use your own. If you already have created these, you do not need to create new ones then. And one thing is missing still. We're going to create a widget blueprint, which will be the money HUD, which will just be used to display the money. And I'm going to call it WG underscore money HUD, like so. And we can then already open that up, drag it over here, and we can add a canvas panel into here. I'm going to add a horizontal box, not a horizontal, I'm going to add a, I'm going to add a horizontal box. I'm going to right click it, wrap with a border, and the border should be, I don't know, let's just make it black and a little bit transparent, like so. And we're going to align it on the bottom left corner. I'm doing that by clicking on the anchor, hitting Control Shift, and then clicking it, and the position for X should be 50, and Y should be -50, and then it's placed like that. And in there we're going to put two texts. The first one, or first let's select the border and hit size to content, and then select the horizontal border and put in 20 padding so we have a little bit of space. And the first text will just be the money text, and the second one will contain the actual money. I'm going to put in 100 there, but that will be changed later anyways. And that text, we have to turn that into a variable. I'm going to call it text underscore current money, hit variable, compile, save, and then we can go ahead and close that. And now we're going to assign our game mode in the level we have just created, or as said, if you already have done that, everything should be set up, but we have created a new one, which is why we are going into the class defaults. And for the player controller, we are going to use the player controller money system we have created. The player state should be the player state underscore money system as well. And the default pawn class, I'm just going to use the third person character. You can use your own one there, but that does not matter as well, because everything will be working through the player controller and the player state. Yeah, and that's that, because if we now start, we can see that we can run around And if we now open up the player controller money system and realign this and open up the event graph and then create our event begin play, we want to create the widget and we want to select our money hut, and the owning player will be safe because we're currently in the player controller, and we want to add to player screen or viewport like this. And if we now go ahead and start, we can see our money on the lower left corner, but currently there is no functionality, which is why we are going to add that now. And for that we're going to go into our player state and open up the event graph, and first we're going to create a variable which is our current money, like this, and it will be an integer. You could also use a float, but I want to do it with an integer. And now we want to go to replication down here, so selected replication, and we want to enable rep notify. That just makes sure that if the variable is changed on the server, every client will be notified, and this function will then be called on every client, which is why we are now going to create an event dispatcher which is called money changed, and we are going to call that here, but we need an input, so select it and go to inputs. Could also be down here if that's not visible for you, but the input should be an integer and money. And if we now hit right click on here and refresh, we can see the money. We can then select our current money, put that into here and put it like that, and that's the replication basically. Because if we now go into our WG underscore money hut and go into constructs and now get owning player, that's the player controller, and every player controller has player state down here, which is this player state. So we can now cast ps underscore money system like so, and we want to assign money changed, which will then create this event. I like to call it on money changed, not the underscore event thing, but that's just preference. And we want to take our text current money and we want to set its, or not its tooltip text, we want to set the actual text to our current value, and we want to, is that a string or a text? Wait, we first want to put that to string like this, and we want to append something because the dollar sign or whatever your currency is missing, and now we can connect it. That because out here will only come the integer, for example 100, and we want it to be $100 or euros or whatever, and then we want to set the text. So that's that, and we can now start creating the actual logic, which will be add money, and the other one will be try remove money, because add money will always work, because you will never have too much money, just like in real life. But when removing money, you might not have enough money to buy something, and then we want to return the success. But let's start with add money. We want to switch on authority because the money management should only work for the host, and drag that out here. You can just hit Alt and then you will get the set thing, and we're going to hit control, then we're going to get the get thing. And we want an input here, which is the amount, and now we want to put the amount on top of the current money and assign that to the current money, and that's basically the logic to add money. And now we're going to try to remove, which is just a little bit more complicated, but we're going to start with switch has authority as well. We also need an input which will be called amount, just like when we add money. And now we're going to check first our current money if our current money is less than the amount, we don't want to continue. No, wait, let's actually, if our current money is greater or equal to the amount, then we want to want it to work when it's true. I don't like it when that's switched up, so I'm going to use greater equal. Yeah, so there we can again hit Alt, drag that into here so we can set it, because that will be our current money minus the amount will be our new value. And now we're going to need a return node, because as said, we want to return if that was successful or not. So when true it was successful, the money was changed. If not, it wasn't. So for example, if you are creating a shop widget and you want to buy some things, you're going to call try remove money, and then it's going to return if that was successful. And only if it was successful, you're actually allowing the player to buy something. Otherwise, they could just buy things without actually having the money. And that's not what the money system is for. Yeah, but that concludes the player state. We can now head over to the player controller again, and we're going to create a custom event which will be server underscore add money, like so, and we can duplicate, hit F2, and that will be server underscore try remove money, because as said, it should only run on the server, reliable, because it's important that it always is taken seriously, it's always executed, which is why we're taking reliable. And the add money thing will be get player state, because as we've done that in the widget, we're getting the player controller, getting its player state, but here we are in the player controller, so we can get the player state. Do not use the green one, it's always down here, the blue one, because that's the actual player state, the other one is not replicated. So we can use it like this, and then we cast to ps underscore money system, like so. And now we're going to add money, and we can do, it's just 100, or you can, no, actually to make it work correctly, we're going to pass that into here, and we can now just copy that, delete that, try remove money, put the amount into here and connect these two, and that's our server-side logic, like so. And we can now go ahead and create some debugging methods, because you might, as said, you might want to call that from shop or something like that, but I want to call it out of the player controller just to show. So I'm going to search for key, select anything, and Z will be server add money, and the button right below that is H. So we're going to server try remove money when hitting H, and let's just put 100 into here, 100 into there, like so. And that's that. I've actually missed something in the money HUD, because I'm always, when I'm doing things like these, I can just show it actually. If we now select two players, it says this listen server, we're going to, and if I press Z now on my client, nothing happened. I'm pressing right now, but if I press Z here, you can see that I'm getting money and I'm losing money. And the only thing why that is not working is because we are in our in the money HUD, this cast is failing on the client, which is simply because the event construct is called before this player state actually exists, which is why then the cast will fail, and then that will never happen and the binding is not complete. So when the cast is failed, we want to delay until next tick, and once that is completed, we want to go back into here, which just takes care that this will be executed until the player state is actually available, and then everything will be bound right to the event. If we are now in the client and I hit Z, you can see that the money is added. And the little delay I have here, I don't think you can hear my keyboard, or can you? But you can see there's a little delay. This is simply because I'm currently testing with 100 or 200 ping, I don't know. The polishing would now to be to increment the number before actually calling the server, but we're not going to do that in that tutorial. This tutorial was simply to show that each player now has their own money thing, and everything's working as expected. You can add money, you can remove money, and it's replicated, so every player now could also know what the other player has in its bank. But yeah, that concludes the money system. Everything is replicated, everything is working as expected, only the server has authority, so no client can cheat himself money. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everything was clear. If not, as always, you can join our Discord and ask your questions there. I'm happy to help, or just write a comment. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, it would mean a lot to us, and see you in the next one. Bye.